All right, YouTube, so what we got going on is we got a nice lift kit for this Jeep. That's the Jeep 2000 Jeep Cherokee, and this is going to start the build for this vehicle. I mean, this thing is spotless, no rust, paint is in pretty good condition. Like I said, no rust, 124,000 miles. The only bad paint right here is this, but who cares? It's gonna be getting tossed around in the woods, banged up. She's gonna get all banged up. It's all right. But let me show you what we got. So I like to go on Facebook Marketplace a lot and find some really good deals out there, because you know, people sell stuff for real cheap, and a lot of good finds out there. So this is a Dana 30 high pinion out of a 98 Cherokee. It looks a little dirty and, you know, a little muddy, but we're gonna bust the power washer out and degrease this whole thing and power wash it and make it look nice. Bring it inside the garage, tear it apart, see what it looks like inside, and make sure it's good to go in. I mean, this is a pretty much direct swap. I mean, I have a low pinion Dana 30 in there right now in that Jeep, and going to a high pinion Dana 30, it just adds a little bit more strength, and you can build off of it better. You know, if you want to go to 35-inch tires, 37-inch tires, once you put a decent set of axle shafts and a locker in there, the high pinion Dana 30 for tight trails and a lot of the off-roading that I like to do, a high pinion 30 is really the best way for me to go about this. Now I picked this thing up for $100, so it depends, you know, on where you live and the availability. So by me, there's a bunch of them, and $100 for Dana 30 high pinion is really not a bad deal. Also, it has Rubicon Express short arm control kit. I have the top ones also, the upper control arms. They're adjustable. This kit that I got it from the same guy that had the axle, and this stuff is basically brand new. Once I get it all cleaned up and power washed off and nice, you'll see that all this stuff is nice and pretty much brand new. I mean, these leaf springs, Rubicon Express full pack, full leaf pack, 4.5-inch lift, Bilstein shocks front and rear, got some coil springs for it, 4.5-inch, all from the same guy. So this was all, I only paid a couple $100 for all this stuff. So this is real easy stuff to find. You could find it anywhere, and it just needs a little bit of love to make it look new again. And that's it. So we got the power washer out, and we are going to get this stuff cleaned up and get in a little bit more detail. So okay, so sprayed the axle with some little degreaser. Use this super clean. I don't know, that's just what I've had laying around, so it works. Help get the tough grease out of there. But I mean, I don't know if you can tell, but after cleaning out this wheel bearing and these wheel studs and even the ball joints, they all look like they have been recently replaced. I mean, that looks pretty new and shiny to me. I mean, you could still see a part number on there. Even this side, greasable ball joint. What does this say? I don't know, I can't tell, but same thing with this wheel bearing. This hub looks pretty recently replaced to me. I mean, as far as I could tell, which is definitely a plus, because now I don't have to buy all that stuff too, you know. So for $100, this thing's like almost ready to just slap in. Obviously I'm gonna take it all apart and go through it, but I mean, that looks a hell of a lot better to me. I'll pop the diff cover off, change the fluid, maybe do the inner axle seals, do, you know, stuff like that, all the U-joints on this thing. Just refresh it. I don't know, maybe I'll even sand it down and give it a quick coat of paint. Who knows? Depends how I'm feeling. But these Bilstein shocks, they're a little rough, but I guess I'm gonna have polished shocks now. I'll just sand them, that wet sand them down and polish them up and replace the bushings. You know, they'll look fine. They still work. You know, you wanna, let's see, compress it down. And it returns no problem. I don't see any crazy scratches on the shaft right there, indicating that these are blown out. I mean, they're not dented, they're not bent from what I can tell. These springs, I probably am not even going to use these. I might get something different. The leaf spring packs, they are, I don't know if you can read that, but that's how you tell if they're Rubicon Express. You see that RE number? These are supposedly 4.5-inch springs, so we'll see. I'll take them out, take the bushings out, take them apart, and just make sure there's nothing crazy going on with them. Obviously, like I said, this stuff is used, but it is also still good quality parts. I mean, Rubicon Express is, you know, for somebody who doesn't really go too crazy off-road, it's still a good product. But these are also, this guy, he had adjustable upper control arms that are actually brand new, so that's a plus. I'm gonna run the short arm kit for now, just to see what we can do with it. I mean, who cares really? It's still gonna ride good. Put a good set of shocks on it, and that's that. But this Jeep is gonna be, it's gonna be fun. We're gonna put this lift in and we're gonna have a lot of fun with it. So here is what it looks like now. Probably has all blown out, broken leaf springs in the rear. I mean, it's typical XJ. They are always almost all literally inverted. I don't know if you can see that, but they're flat and probably almost all broken. So, but that is typical on these. So when you buy one, if you buy one stock, expect it to need suspension. I mean, the thing's almost 20 years old, so I don't know any 20-year-old car that really has good suspension anymore. So that's that. We're gonna get this thing into the garage, onto the jack stands. Got this guy helping out today, doing all the odds and ends, teaching him a little bit about something.
Sure.
A little bit about something, that's it.
Maybe I'll do it in mine one day.
The more knowledge, the better. So we'll get this axle put into the garage and we'll take it apart and see what happens. So we are gonna get all the steering off, get the track bar off, get these control arms off, all this nonsense, and see what we're working with. So we got the steering off, the track bar is off, and upon further inspection, these seem to be, don't know if you can see that, but it says Timken. So these are Timken hubs, which is a fantastic thing. Having Timken hub assemblies on any vehicle for that matter is a good thing. It's a good brand. They make good stuff, so I like seeing that. And they do look fairly new, so I'm not going to replace those. These U-joints, I haven't gone through them yet, but they are Spicer U-joints, so that tells me that somebody might have done them, possibly. I don't know yet. We'll find out when I take them apart. The ball joints are definitely Moog greasable, which I am getting rid of those. I don't want those. We got something else for that. So once we go through everything, we will keep going. So also, if you look at the axle tag on any rear or any kind of axle, if it still has it on there, it will tell you what you need to know. This is a 355 gear ratio, so that means I can just basically drop this axle right into the Jeep how it is without changing gear ratios. I don't have to change the ring and pinion because I have an 8 1/4 in the rear, and that as well has 355 gearing. So it's a pretty much a direct swap. Cheap, easy, and this high pinion 30 is way stronger than the low pinion 30. Action. So obviously, going back together, I would recommend not using a 1/2 inch gun because you're definitely going to snap these bolts. Taking them off doesn't really matter. This thing looks like it's been apart anyway because it looks like it's got some aftermarket sealant on this diff cover, which is fine. That tells me it's been maintained somewhat, hopefully.